Hey, it's Friday. I did it. I survived my first week. Considering this is what people say, a sit-down job, I think I've got more exercise this week than I've had in a long time. And also, I've got a bit dirty too. Now I'm just off to the office to hand in my timesheet, and I've also got to go to the other depot to pick up some clothes that have been ordered for me. But I'll check back with you when I'm home and I'll give you a rundown of what I've been doing this week. I'll see you soon. But yes, I did it. I survived. Yay! But I'm a bit dirty, but I survived. Yay! Hello! I'm back home. I'm changed. I'm clean again. It's been a while since my last video, so I forgot how to talk to the camera again, so you'll have to forgive me. But yeah, this week was my first week on the job. It was my job induction week. I've made a few notes about what I've been doing this week, and I intend to make one with the lorry and discuss some of the things I'm going to talk about with the lorry itself. But for now, I thought I would just give a rundown of what I've been doing and then make some more videos later on. But Monday was classroom based, and we ended up, well, me and the driver trainer, we ended up just talking really about the job and discussing what some of the keywords mean and things like that, and what's going to be expected on the job, this, that and the other, how to fill in the timesheets. If there's a wheel being changed, then you have to redo the nuts to the right torque. And he's talking me through all of that. There was also some online training where it was about anti-terrorism. If you see something suspicious, being a driver, being on the road all day, we see a lot. So if we see something suspicious, who to report it to and what kinds of things we'd be looking for. And also about security, like if you're delivering somewhere and someone who appears to be someone that works for the company, if they appear and say to you, can you deliver it this way, and they direct you somewhere else, it was just saying to make sure that you double, triple check and don't deliver, and what to look out for, like don't deliver on an empty car park if there's no one around and it looks suspicious. If the CCTV cameras are broke, if there's no lighting, things like that. It was interesting. So we did that, and also filled in some paperwork. The job was described to me as Monday to Friday. The hours are 6 o'clock until 4 o'clock. So 10 hours, and you're guaranteed to get paid 10 hours, even if you finish early. So that's a bonus. However, you're not paid overtime. If it goes over to 11 hours because you're stuck in traffic, you don't get paid the extra hour or two that you were out. So it's win and lose in that sense. I think the first thing that blew my mind this week is getting up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. I am not used to getting up that early. I didn't even know there was two 4:30s in a day. I only thought the 4:30 was when the bell goes and I've sat all my detentions and then I go home after teaching all day. That's the only 4:30 I knew. But there's another one apparently. So that's what I've been getting up at all week. I expected it to be harder than it was. I've got used to it really. It's not that bad. I just have to make sure I go to bed a little bit earlier than I would before. And I start at 6 o'clock. So at 6 o'clock, the tachograph card goes in. And that's when I start my daily walk around check, checking the tyres, checking the lights, and so on. And then the other driver that works at the yard that I work at, he goes in first and gets loaded. Then a couple of minutes after he drives through, I drive through. And then we drive into a factory and then we get loaded in there. And it's really funny because you go in at 6 o'clock in the dark, and then by the time you've been loaded and strapped everything down, when you come out it's daylight, so it's weird. It's like this magic factory that when you go in it's dark and when you come out it's light. Super power factory. But yeah, so Monday was interesting. Tuesday was the first day driving. I was with the driver trainer, and what had happened was the lorries are parked in a separate place from the factory where we load. So I was told to meet where the lorries were, so I did, and I could see the lorry there, and I was thinking, oh my God, is that my lorry? That's huge. I mean, the one that I did my testing was only 14 tonne, and this one is 26 tonnes. I think I said in a previous video it's 27. It's not, it's 26. So, I mean, this thing's massive. It's twice as long. It can carry twice as much weight. I mean, it is huge. So I was a bit unnerved when I saw that, but I thought, we're okay, we've got the car park here to practice. I was also told that the lorry was semi-automatic and that you only need the clutch to pull away and to stop. And other than that, it's an automatic gearbox, which I thought, I'll get used to that. I drive a manual car anyway and trained in an automatic, so I'll be fine. But what happened was, we walked around to the factory to get the keys to the lorry because the previous driver had left them there. And when we got round there, it turned out that the other driver at the same yard had brought the lorry around for me, very kind, so we were in the queue ready to get loaded first. Well, what that meant was, when he loaded up, closed the curtains and went, the driver trainer said to me, get in and bring the lorry into the factory. Now, that blew my mind because I thought, how am I going to fit that huge thing through that door when there's boxes over there, stuff over there in the yard? Madness. So I got in. I thought, you know, we'll manage. He'll guide me in. He's the driver trainer. It turns out it's not an automatic lorry. It's a full manual lorry. It has 4 gears, and then you flick a switch on the gear stick, and then it has 4 more gears, so it has 8. I think they call it a 4-on-4 or a 4/4, whatever they call it. It's got 8 gears. And this gearbox was the pain in my life on Tuesday. First of all, I couldn't get the thing to go forward. I thought first gear was over and then up like it is in a car. Well, that's reverse. And the distance between first and reverse and then third this way, they're really close together. And it's hard to get used to at first, because in your car you know that that's first. Like, they go in separately. You don't make that mistake in a car. In this lorry you do. You can easily put it into this one and it should be in that one, or you've put it in that one and it should be in that one. They're really close together. It's confusing. So I was well embarrassed. I couldn't get this lorry to go forward. I couldn't understand why. I couldn't get it in first gear and I kept reversing. It was just mad. I was also lifting my clutch up to around the bite point where it would start to move, and it wasn't moving anywhere. I was well confused. I just couldn't figure it out. In the end, we got there. I finally figured it out how to move, and we got it into the factory. I had to do a shunt because going forward there's a bollard at the entrance to the factory, and I was convinced I was going to hit it because the front of my lorry looked very close to that. And the driver trainer was waving me on like this, and I was pointing, but I'm going to hit that. And he went, no, keep coming. And then he stopped and said, well, if you feel like you're not sure, reverse and try again. So I did. And I got in there. Then I got out of the lorry and went, you know, that was stressful. Everyone was looking at me. The forklift driver was looking at me. The manager in the factory was looking at me. The people were queuing behind me. They were looking at me. I was so embarrassed. I made a real numpty of myself there. But it didn't end there. So I got out the lorry and the driver trainer says to me, right, let's open the curtain. How do you do that? In the training, no one teaches you that. No one teaches you how to open the curtain on a lorry. So I watched him and he taught me how to do it. You've got these straps on the side and you pull it down. then you take the hook off from underneath, and then like it's loose, then you do the next one, pull it down, lift it up, take the hook off. But these were the pain in my life as well on Tuesday. They're stressful things, they are. When you pull it down and lift it up, it's supposed to come loose, but you can't get it off because it's too tight. Well, I don't know how to slacken it off. I had to be shown how to slacken it off. I felt like a right Burke. I really did. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And bear in mind, these people are queuing behind me. The forklift driver's ready to load the lorry. The manager's standing there thinking, oh my God, who is this who's going to be driving for us? What a silly cow she is. Oh, it's just so embarrassed. I opened up the lorry anyway, got the curtains open. We got there in the end. And then I had that moment that I wished that wouldn't happen this soon. I had that moment of, what have I done? I could right now be in my classroom with people that I know doing a job I'm familiar with. I had that moment of, what have I done? And I looked up at the lorry like this and thought, oh my God, can you stop fighting? I'm filming a video. That's my cats. I looked at the lorry and I thought, so what am I going to do? How am I going to drive this around? It is huge. But I managed it. We got loaded. We strapped the boxes down. But it's having to learn that certain boxes can only go in certain places. Well, I call them boxes. I've been told by the professionals that they're called bins. They're just square or rectangle boxes or bins. And what we're carrying is nuts and bolts and metal parts in there. That's all what's in there. But they're really heavy. They're like 500 kilograms, or they could be 700 kilograms. Like, they're really heavy boxes. And they have to be put in a certain way. Well, usually the forklift driver knows how they go. But I found out after a while that you have to tell them, some of them, because they'll put it on anywhere willy-nilly. But you can't. You have to load it a certain way, or the lorry's loaded wrong and the weights distribution's off. So you put your heavy ones in the middle, and sometimes we were having single boxes next to each other, then we were having a box and then on top of them. Or we could have 3 boxes and then 3 on top. It all depended on how big the boxes were, or I should say bins. That's my trucking terminology. I keep getting it wrong there. It just depended on how they were, how big they were and how heavy they were, really. That depended on. But I wasn't in charge of that. The driver trainer, he made sure that they were loaded properly. And I was ratcheting them because we were taught how to do that on the CPC. So that's one thing I knew how to do. Then came to closing the curtains, which I had to be shown how to do because I don't know how to close them. No one taught me that when I was training. So closes the curtains, gets the paperwork from the manager, and he said it that fast. Those to there, those to there, those to there, those to there. I thought, wow, how am I going to remember that when I'm on my own? But the driver trainer, he got it all in his head, and we were all right with that. So the next step was, most of these drops were in Birmingham, in Spaghetti Junction way, which is where there's lots of roads all going over each other like spaghetti. And they're in parts of Birmingham where you can't get a lorry, really. A lorry's not supposed to go down those roads. But that's where the factories are. So you have to, and there's parked cars either side, and you think, how am I going to get this down there? Or how am I going to park it? I mean, one of the places we went to, we had to park on double yellow lines, and the forklift driver was having to come across the road and load it like that. And there's nowhere else. There's nowhere to park the lorry. That's it. You have to park it there. And then you're annoying everyone because they're trying to come down this road. Your lorry's in the way. The forklift driver is in the way. There's a car coming the other way. They're getting wound up, and it's just madness. But most of them were yards that you could put the lorry on. Some of them you had to turn around on there, reverse. Some of them you could drive all the way around. But yeah, let's just see what my notes say, what I can remember. So I struggled with the gearbox. I struggled with the gearbox a lot. The way I can explain it without using the correct terms, because I don't know what the correct terms are, is first gear in a car goes no, and then you can change, and second goes no. They're quite long gears. In the lorry, first gear goes no, and then you have to change, and second gear goes no, and then you have to change, and the third gear's the same, and fourth. Then you have to flick the switch and get in the top box, and those gears are a bit longer, but they're still short gears. That wasn't explained to me on Tuesday. I just couldn't understand. Why isn't this lorry going forward? At points, I was stuck. I wasn't moving anywhere. I couldn't get the lorry to go forward. I couldn't understand it. And I also later found out on Wednesday, when I had a driver with me, not the driver trainer, I had another driver with me. He explained to me how this gearbox works. Because all I was doing was crunching the gears. One minute I could find the gear, the next minute I couldn't. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is really stressing me out. And then I wasn't looking at the road signs. My sat-nav is a car sat-nav. It was directing me to go under low bridges and stuff. And I wasn't having my eyes open for the signs because I was too busy stressing about this gearbox. Luckily, the driver trainer was there to direct me. But, what else have I said? I found it was best to pull away in second gear. But then I was stressing, well, first gear is also fifth gear. And I couldn't seem to get it either time. I just didn't understand why. I coped with the corners well. I was quite surprised. I expected with the lorry being bigger and longer that I would struggle going round the corners, but I didn't. Driving around, if it was automatic, I'd have done it no problem. But I was just struggling with these gears at first. But I know a lot of people watching these videos are thinking of trucking or on the way to it. If you think that you're going to struggle with the lorry being longer, it's not. It's the same. It's the same principle. Just take the corners wide. And when you're reversing, if you don't know how far back to go, which you don't because you can't see in the mirrors, it's really deceiving when you look in the mirrors. Get out and have a look. If you have to get out twice, get out twice. Doesn't matter. All what they care about is, have you damaged their factory or someone's car or something? No. Have you damaged your wagon? No. Well, what's the problem then? So you got out 5 times. Doesn't matter. As long as you get the goods there safely and yourself safely and the lorry safely and back again, then it's all right. What else can I say? I was surprised how dirty you get. So I thought it would be, you just open the curtains, strap the load down, job done. It's amazing how dirty you get. I was wearing gloves that were brand new and my hands were still getting black underneath the gloves. And I was like, well, why are they getting so dirty from all this grease and oil and stuff? I don't understand. But it's apparently drivers get through these gloves quite quickly from what I've been told. You have to get a different type that lasts a bit longer. But because we're carrying nuts and bolts and things like that, they've got oil and grease on them. So the straps, when you're strapping the load down, they get dirty. And that's where it gets mucky for you. You get it on your clothes as well. So when you're climbing in and out of the lorry, or you lean against the lorry, you just get it all over you, all this like dirt and grease. I was also surprised how much exercise there is. So this job is considered a job that doesn't have any handball because all I have to do is open the curtains. The forklift drivers will load the lorry and unload the lorry. All I have to do is open the curtains and strap down the boxes or the bins or the pallets or whatever they're putting on. But you're surprised how many times you walk around that lorry. And you have to walk and get the paperwork signed. That could be to the factory. One I went to today was the other side of the factory. I had to walk and sign these papers. And then I forgot to take the top sheet to keep for our company. So I had to go back again. So you do a lot of walking. You do a lot of walking around that lorry. Strapping this down, strapping that down. Oh no, the strap's twisted. I'll have to climb up and untwist it. Back down again. Oh, I can't reach that strap, it's in the middle. Oh, there's a lot of exercise. And you'd be surprised, my arms were aching at the end of the day, just because I'm not used to it. I mean, I was a teacher. What do? Nothing. We just stand around shouting at kids. Well, that's what people think. Oh yeah, and we have lots of holidays. But yeah, I was surprised how much exercise there is. But I'm glad, because we got a lot done. What else have I said? So Wednesday. On Wednesday, I said I was with the driver. It wasn't a good start because I forgot my tachograph card and I had to go back home and get it, so I was running a bit late. This driver explained to me how this gearbox works. So if you're not loaded and the lorry is lightweight, you can pull away in fourth. These gears are for like pulling away. The lower box is for pulling away. Where if you're loaded, then you'll need first gear if your lorry is really heavy to pull it away. But most of the time you can get away with second. And it's not like a car. You don't go first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth in order. You don't do that in a car, in a lorry, sorry. You're best to go second to fourth to sixth. It's better that way, because if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like you have to change so quickly. It just doesn't make sense where you can change up 2 gears and you get your lorry going better. He explained that to me. He also explained that this switcher works by when you flick the switch, it brings some sort of plate up that makes you use the other gears. Well, when you want to come down the gears, you have to flick the catch down. If you flick it down when it's in gear, when you take it into neutral between switching gears, you hear a little bump and you can feel it on your foot as well on the clutch. And when you felt that, you know that that plate has dropped down to the lower box, so you know that you're going to be in a lower gear. What was happening on the first day was I couldn't get it in the lower box. I just didn't understand why. I flicked the switch down, why won't it go in? Because that plate hadn't dropped. You have to do that first. Flick it down while it's in gear, and then you'll get used to it then. So flick it down when it's in gear, take it out, you'll hear it drop. Then you know you can put it into the lower gears. I also found that the reason why they were grinding so much is not because they're close together and I wasn't putting the gear stick in the 100% right place. It was because if the revs are too high, then it won't go in that gear. So in the example, if I'd changed and I wanted fifth, if the revs were too high on the lorry, then it won't go in fifth, it just grinds. So you can't get it in that gear, it won't go. But if you put it in sixth, it will go, no problem. And you won't lose any power. And when changing down, if you go down 8, 7, 6, you can't get it in that fifth gear unless your revs are lower. So that was the thing that I learnt on Wednesday, my second day of driving. And that was the gold. That was the information I needed. That was it then. I cracked that gearbox. I got the hang of it. However, that fifth gear, it always crunches. It always grinds a bit when you put it in gear. I don't know why. I've been with the driver of the lorry before I started, and he said it's done it since he started. It's just something wrong with the lorry, so I'm not going to stress too much about that. But once I was told that special secret about that gearbox, I'd got it handled then. I was strapping all the things down. Everything was fine. But I pulled my shoulder and neck ratcheting. I'm not very tall. And when you're ratcheting, you're doing it up here. You're doing it there. Because it's so tall, the lorries. And then you're using 2 hands and pushing up. Well, I got this pain in my shoulder here and my neck and down my back. And it was one of those when, you've probably done it yourself, when you pull your neck and you can't turn your head like that, it's just so painful. I did that, didn't I? Well, I still had half a day left to finish. And driving, trying to look, instead of turning my head like that, I was like this. Is it clear? Oh, it's horrible. And I was really aching and I really felt ill on Wednesday because I'd been ratcheting and strapping the load down and opening the curtains with these clips that kept hitting me in the face because I wasn't doing it properly. It's making a right numpty of myself. And I really was aching after that. But I enjoyed my day. I got a lot done and I felt a lot more confident. So that was good. I also kept forgetting, the driver who I had with me, he was saying, oh, which bins were for this place? Where were they on the lorry? And I couldn't remember. I was like, oh my God, I don't know. I can't remember. Luckily, he could remember. And you've got the paperwork anyway, and the paperwork is in the bins if you're unsure. Where does that one go to? The paperwork is in there. But I couldn't remember, because I think I was too busy trying to focus on actually driving the thing from A to B, that I was forgetting all of this. So on the Thursday, I wrote it down. I wrote down where we were going. And when the manager in the factory said there's 3 bins to go to this place, 4 to that place, we've got to collect 4 pallets from there, I wrote it down. And I'm so glad I did. It's better to just spend that extra minute or two making sure you're clear on where everything's going before you go, because sometimes the address is on the paperwork. It's got to go to another place first, then to that place, so it can be confusing. So just get it clear in your head first, and that was good. I was struggling a lot with the area, like I said before, down in Birmingham. I don't know Birmingham very well, so I mean I know it a bit better now, but just struggling getting from A to B, and the roads are horrible in Birmingham. But I'll hopefully get some videos of the roads around there so you can see if you've not been before. What else have I written here? Oh yeah, you're in charge. So when the forklift driver is loading the lorry, you're in charge. He puts it where you say, and he only loads the amount that you say, because at the end of the day the driver's responsible. If you're overloaded, you know, when you get pulled over, you're the one responsible, not the forklift driver. So you have to make sure you let him know as well where the latching points are on the lorry. There's these hooks, and if he doesn't put the bin in line with the hook, then you can't ratchet it down properly. So you have to ask him to move it. So you have to watch what they're doing as well. You can't just have a DOS while they're loading. You have to watch what they're doing. Or like I said, they'll just load it up willy-nilly and there's nothing you can do about it. I also found as well that climbing up into the lorry is quite high, and I was leaving my gloves in the middle of the lorry. And what I was finding is I'd get out and I can't reach them, or I can't reach the paperwork. So I got myself into the routine of, when I get out the lorry, I put the paperwork on the seat and the gloves go in the driver's door. So when I climb down, I can reach them. And then when I finished, I put my gloves in the driver's door, and then I can climb up and reach the paperwork, just climb up one step with clean hands. I think that was a good tip for myself, because I kept having to climb up and then back down again, and then up and then back down again. And it just tires you out. There's no need when you can find a way. What else have I said? Oh yeah, just how much other people help you. So I was at this yard and I needed to reverse my lorry around, and it was really tight. I had to do about 5 or 6 shunts to get it around because it was so tight. There was an Arctic there, and there was like skips and stuff behind me. And it's just amazing how many people help you. Like these drivers, they know they were there once. They know what it's like, and they help you. And don't be scared to ask them as well, because they do. They're really nice. I'm just going to put a light on because it's getting a bit dark here. Let me see what I've got for some light. There you go. That's a bit better, isn't it? You can see me now. Yeah, so it's just amazing how many people help you. You'll see them, they'll come over to you and they'll help you. They'll just start guiding you back, no problem. And they don't mind. You know, they were all new once, so they help you. And don't be scared to ask them. That was something good. Thursday, yesterday, got the gearbox mastered, strapping the load down mastered, and I was getting more familiar with the places where I'd been. So we visit the same places multiple times a week. So I was thinking, oh yeah, this is the yard where you park over there, or this is the yard where you drive around there. I was getting the hang of it. I also wrote down this time how many boxes are going where. On Wednesday I just wrote down the places we were going. Yesterday I wrote down 3 boxes to them, 3 boxes to them, 2 to them, 3 pallets to them, and that was better. We also experienced a bit of wind on Thursday. I think it was a bit windy, and I watched the other driver. He just used one of the hooks on the curtain to hook it under the body, and that held it from the wind blowing. So that's something I picked up from watching him. Collections as well. Sometimes the manager in the factory says to you, I want you to do a collection from so-and-so, and you go there and they haven't got anything. But other times you go there and they've got a lorry full of stuff, but you can't fit it all on. So it's a bit annoying, really. You don't know, because when I'm delivering, I might deliver 3 bins or boxes or whatever you call them, 3 of these things to one factory, but then they might have 4 to send back, and then you go all the way around, and then your last one is your collection, and then you get there but you've got no room. So it's really difficult to know how much to take from them, because then you'll only end up going back. On, I think it was Wednesday, we went back, did all the drops and collections, and went back to the yard, and then he said, okay, I've had an email from this place, can you go back and collect the rest of the stuff? Well, that was all the way back to Birmingham again, back in the centre, so that was a bit of a pain in the bum, but it was within the hours anyway, so what can you say? Also, there was an issue with paperwork, but if the paperwork isn't right, it's not the driver's fault. That's not your problem. So don't stress about the paperwork. As long as you've got signed what you need, then go. But if it's not right, then just explain it when you get back. Like, it's not your problem. Loading and unloading, it can take half an hour when you're full. When they're loading the lorry to be full, it can take half an hour to get it all loaded and strapped down. It can take longer than that. Also, on the back of the lorry that I drive, there is another axle that lifts up when there's no weight in the lorry and is down when the lorry is heavier. And the wheels on it turn. And I didn't know that until he showed me. But if you turn your steering wheel to the right, these wheels at the back turn to the left. So you go kind of like that. But these wheels, they throw the back end out like that. So you have to be so careful when you're near a wall. Or if that was a wall and you're here, don't turn too sharp or the back's going to hit the wall and then you're going to upset somebody or you're going to hit a car. Also, when you're driving into traffic, if it's a tight bend, you have to watch the tail because you could hit someone. Those wheels send it that way. So you have to be so careful watching the tail that doesn't hit anything. What else have I said? I was also shown how to refuel. There's like a key fob and all electronic stuff you have to do to refuel for this lorry I've got. I also found as well that there are lots of dangers. There's like these bins could fall on you, or you could fall off the lorry, or a forklift could drive into you. There's so many hazards in this job. Now, I'm used to working in a school and health and safety is huge there. You can't even climb on a chair to reach the top shelf. You have to call someone to get it for you because you can't climb for health and safety. We're on here, we're getting in and out the lorry and there isn't a ladder on there. You're climbing up using the boxes or the bins or the hooks on the side. It's just there's a lot of things that could go wrong there. I can understand how some people get hurt in there. I also had to use one of the toilets in the factory, and I wouldn't recommend using toilets in factories because the one I went to today was just horrible. It wasn't very clean at all. I mean, there isn't many facilities for women. I mean, a lot of them just have a shared toilet. There isn't a women's and a men's that I've found so far. Maybe that's just the places I'm going. Today, I was shown how to lift the bonnet on the front of the lorry. And I was mostly on my own today. I was with the driver whose job I have taken. I was told that I would have this job if he passed class 1. And unfortunately, he didn't pass. So that I was wondering, where does that leave me? Do I still have a job or not? So I found up the company director, who reassured me that I still would be employed and that I was keeping my job. And I think he's going to be doing some holiday cover and stuff like that. But I felt sorry for him. He comes back and his job's been taken by this woman who has no idea what she's doing. So I was with him today, and that was a bit awkward. I felt guilty, I felt awkward. But he was actually all right. He was nice, and he helped me with the directions, showed me some routes. But I'm just overwhelmed with driving on all these roads that I'm not familiar with, and I don't know where I'm going. And people talk to me, you need to take the A whatever or left at so-and-so island. And if you showed me the island, I'd know it, but I don't know the name, or I don't know the names of the roads. And I'd see on the paperwork the name of the factory and think, oh yeah, I went there yesterday, but couldn't remember which factory it was or what it looked like. I'm just overwhelmed with not knowing the areas. Because we do about 5 drops and 2 collections, then we go back to the yard, and then we might get sent out again. Yesterday was just sent out for 1, and then today we were sent back out for 2 to do. We had to do a drop-off and a collection. So it's multi-drop, but it's not going to kill you. It's not 30 drops in a day. It's only a few. But my hours are till 4, so if I can't get out and back before 4 o'clock, I've been told not to go. Don't go, because you don't get paid overtime. So just do it tomorrow. Don't go. Tell them in the factory, I'm not going, because I don't get paid overtime. So, yeah. I also noticed as well how noisy the factories are. They're so noisy. There's a metal banging everywhere. And the forklift drivers. And the diesel. I've been breathing in diesel and factory fumes all day. And I noticed, all week. I noticed I got a bit of a sore throat. And my voice was going a little bit earlier today. So I think it's going to take some getting used to. And the fact that I'm doing all this exercise that I'm not used to. I mean, I think in a couple of months I'm going to be a bodybuilder with all these strapping these bins down. I'm going to be like a fitness woman by the end of a couple of months. I was under the impression that Friday was an early finish. But it's not. Friday was just a normal day. The way it goes in the place where I'm working is you have your things that you have to deliver that day, and then you get sent out again. But as soon as you've done it, you've finished. Then you park the wagon and go home. So one day I finished about 1:30, and there was nothing else to deliver or collect. So I went home, but I still got paid for the full 10 hours. And then another time, like today, we were out until... Can you guys stop? This time we were out until the full time, so it was a longer day today. And then I had to go to get the clothes that I mentioned earlier and hand in the timesheets. But I don't have a video of the lorry I'm in. I'm going to film some next week, because next week I'm going to be on my own in the lorry. There's not going to be anyone with me. So I'm going to film some stuff next week for you and show you these ratchet things and how to open the curtains and stuff. I'll save you being embarrassed like I was, because I made myself look like a right numpty on the first day. Because if no one teaches you, then how do you know? They should teach you this on the training when you do your test. But still, I've had a good week. I'm enjoying my job. It is a contrast from teaching. It's a contrast from teaching, but I'm enjoying it. I was aching a bit earlier in the week, and I've been finding getting up at 4:30, I've been getting tired. 6 o'clock in the evening or 8 o'clock in the evening, I've been really tired. But I've just plodded through and I've got used to it. My friends at work, at my old work, they were laughing about me getting up at 4:30, ha ha ha. But I've got used to it. It doesn't hurt, because I still finish around the same time that I would have finished from school anyway when I was teaching. I mean, sometimes I finish earlier. So I don't feel like I'm losing out. And I'm not half as stressed. When I come home, that's it. I don't know where I'm going tomorrow or what I'm doing. So I can't stress about it. So it's good. As soon as you get home, that's it. You don't think about it. The job's over. It's done. So, yeah. I have a blind cat who can't see a thing. He's completely blind. He was born that way. I also have a rescue kitten who's a couple of months old, and these two love to play with each other. But because the blind one can't see where he's going, he bumps into things, and he likes things that rustle. And when he loses the other one, he kind of chirps for him, like as if to say, "Where are you?" So if you can hear that in the video, that's what it is. It's him. I say he's ringing. He's ringing where the other one is. But there you go. They're playing here. They love playing under my bed and pouncing on each other and interrupting my videos. But still, I've had a good week. I'm looking forward to next week. I'm going to try and get some videos in the lorry and let you guys know how it's going. I think it will be more telling next week because I'll be on my own and have to figure things out for myself. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm glad I did it. Although I had that feeling of, oh my God, what have I done on Tuesday, my first driving day. It's gone now. I'm confident. I know what I'm doing. I know what needs to be done. And this job, I'm visiting the same places a couple of times a week, so I'll get used to it. It's a good beginner's job. And I'm really grateful for the company for taking me on and giving me a chance, because it's hard for new drivers to get a job. I expected to be on the agency for a while. I think I said that in another video, but I didn't even have to apply. I got lucky here, really lucky. So yeah, I'm having a good time, and I'll see you in the next one sometime next week in the lorry. If you're still tuned in, 41 minutes, it's counting on that clock. If you're still here, thanks for watching. If you want to stay tuned with my new career, subscribe. If you like the video, click like. A lot of you are doing that already. Thank you. I can see that on the statistics. So yeah, until the next one.